Yeah! Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it, and I could put a little bit more heart into ripping off one of my childhood favorite professional wrestlers, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. But I got a package in the mailbox today, and that's what I actually came to talk to you about. My publishing favorites. The list, there's actually quite a few great publishers that I really dig. But one of them that I do truly love, a publisher by the name of Lividian Publications, owned by a fella named Brian James Freeman, has delivered. And I really dig this publisher, not only the quality of books that we get from them, signed limited editions and such, but the authors, the works themselves that we get from them, the customer service, and they're just a great fella running the show. Owner, operator, proprietor extraordinaire, Brian James Freeman is fantastic, is terrific, is too sweet. And I'm a member of the Lividian Publications Limited Edition Patreon tier, something like that. I don't remember what all it's called, but it means I end up getting some pretty cool things. And occasionally I'll get a box in the mailbox with ARC's advanced review copies exclusively for the Patreon members. And that's what I have in here today. I've got a few of them in here, and I can't wait to open them up and show you what I got. This time, from what I've read on the email, is Brian James Freeman, one of his vendors was used this time to ship the books. A vendor that he uses for slipcase, a slipcase maker, also is a book distributor. So because he's in the middle of moving, from what I understand, moving homes, all the stuff that goes into that, he's using the distributor to ship this bundle of ARCs. And he said if there are any troubles at all, just let him know. He'll make sure it's taken good care of. So I only say that because it's news. It's noteworthy. I know there's a lot of cool and bad news in the air. But let's take a look and see how Brian James Freeman's slipcase maker, and that is apparently BindTech, and BindTech, Phoenix, Arizona. Let's see how they did with the stuff. Let's take a look at a few of these ARCs that came in this bundle and all the ins and outs and in between. So BindTech, that's a very, very heavy box, an oversized box. One of the great things about Lividian Publications has always been their shipping is top notch. And so BindTech is using a box in a box method, which means more fun from the blade that I bought in Alaska, that it turns out, I later found after I bought it, it was made in Chicago, sweet home Chicago. So I bought an Alaskan knife made by a knife maker in Chicago. And so now we're going to put it to work. It's a carbon steel blade. It's nice and sharp. I love the shape and the length of the blade. It really is a useful kind of knife for a lot of different things, shape and size and all that stuff. And it's got a neat little sheath, so happy with it. I finally got it to a nice sharp edge. And the box in the box. And what we've seen typically from Brian James Freeman is form-fitted foam. So the stuff would be in foam with foam underneath and foam on top. This maker uses the box in a box method with the book surrounded by wadded up paper and a piece of thick paperboard on top. So it's a great method of shipping. It is just different than what we're used to. And the ARCs are soft cover books, and there's what we got inside. So they typically are a little bit more forgiving than hardcovers. If you take an ARC, see how they fold? A soft cover book is a little bit more forgiving than hardcovers. But either way, that's a good shipping method. The box inside the box allows for a little movement of the box inside without your books getting busted. And so we'll see the titles right here. They are shrink wrapped together relatively loosely. They're held together well with shrink wrap. It's not super tight. This time I might just let the fingers do the tearing and take them out. And we'll take a look at each one of these arcs as they go. And let me adjust this camera here. I feel like it's a little high. I'm having to hold stuff up, so I'll adjust it. Very professional stuff here. That's what we do. Very professional. That's how it works. A couple of Bentley Little books. One is The Resort by Bentley Little. And I've gotten a few books, a few arcs, and a limited edition already from Bentley Little from Lividian Publications. Here in the collection, I have the store, and then I've gotten a couple of arcs recently that I've shown you from Lividian Publications. But this is The Resort, and I love the cover artwork. Now, these are ARC's advanced review copies. It's essentially early trade edition softcover versions of what will be signed limited editions, hardcovers in slipcases. So you'll get the pictures, you'll get the art, you get an idea of what the typeset looks like and such as that, but it's not signed, it's not numbered, it's not hardcover, and it's not in a slipcase, obviously. So they pretty much only make these for the Patreon subscribers, but typically ARC's advanced review copies would often be used for, they would before the book was released, they'd send out, publishers in general would send out ARCs to people for reviews or for things like that, to get some buzz, some reviews going about the book before release day, hopefully to help drive sales on release day. And a lot of collectors came to love them because they actually came first, before the first edition. And a lot of times publishers these days, some of them will send out ARCs to help get the reviews and get the buzz and stuff like that. But other publishers, especially limited edition publishers, may use them pretty much for collectors. Special little things. They cost extra because they're not selling them. And for collectors, and Brian James Freeman is taking care of the collectors on his Lividian Patreon tiers. And then for the Patreon members that don't want them or don't want the particular book, well, they can sell them, do whatever they want with them. And so they get some value for their Patreon membership, some additional added value. So let's say I got this in the mail and I want it. I'm going to keep it, I'll put it on the shelf, keep it forever. Great. Let's say I get this book in the mail and I don't want it. All is not lost. I can sell this book, take the money, and, so I got some value, added value for my Patreon member. Either way, it's a win-win-win. But The Resort, let's take a look. Did I show you the back already? And I have not read The Resort, but it says, the Riata is an exclusive spa isolated in the Arizona desert, a perfect getaway from the city for people like Lowell Thurman and his family booked for a relaxing 5-day retreat. But what unfolds is anything but tranquil. Unnerving encounters with strange employees, wild parties and empty rooms, something unspeakable in the pool. Then one by one, guests begin disappearing. The Thurmans are afraid because out in the middle of nowhere with no escape and no one to hear them scream, they're left with only one terrifying choice. Unlock the dark secrets of the Riata themselves before the real carnage begins. And that's an image of Bentley Little there on the back. But this one is illustrated. It is illustrated by whom? By whom? By Dirk Berger. And so I've gotten quite a few books that are illustrated by Dirk Berger. Some from SST. I think, I don't remember if I've gotten any illustrated books. Maybe I do, from Lividian. But anyway, I've got some Dirk Berger, some Joe Lansdale's illustrated by Dirk Berger. So you saw the cover illustrations. And here are some of the black and white interior illustrations within the book. I'll show you the ones I can find. Usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 is what I think I might get. Sometimes we'll get more. Man, that looks cool. That one does look cool. What a heck of an illustration there by Dirk Berger. And then you can see how the chapter dividers have some Arizona broken glass Here's what the text will look like on the ARC. I think the limited should be the same. I think they compare. The paper will be different, of course, but the layout should be the same. More interior illustrations. I'll try to show you all of them if I can. I've already shown you quite a few. So my number of 6 is obviously off. It looks like Brian James Freeman has loaded up this one. What was that, already 4 or so? 4? And there's another. So Dirk Berger, it looks like, heavily illustrated edition here. And for the Bentley Little fans, it's what you have in store. And this book has not been made available for sale yet. So it's not officially announced, although Brian James Freeman says he gives these books out to his Patreon members expecting that they're going to spread the word. So he's not worried about the info getting out, or else he wouldn't send these yet. But it's not available for sale on the website yet. When it is, have at it. I'm not sure how many copies there will be. Often the Lividian books, you'll have 750 copies. And I didn't look up to see how many there will be of this one, but I believe we can find that information here on the book. And if I forget, well, you can look it up when they are available. So many illustrations here. The resort is chock full of pictures, man. Lots and lots. And that's just an example of why Lividian Publications is such a fantastic publisher. What you get is great stuff and great quality. And this book, full of illustrations from a fantastic professional illustrator. They're not some silly fella from a Kmart parking lot that he hired. It's an actual good stuff right here. But let's see if it says how many there are. It just says Lividian Publications 2025, side and slipcase limited edition, $125, 448 pages, 6x9, and it doesn't say how many. But I'm thinking, my guess would be 750, but I could be wrong. That is the resort, and it looks fantastic. And the next one, another Bentley Little book, and this one is The Town. And just take a look at that cover right there for The Town. This one also illustrated by Dirk Berger. Here is the spine, what it'll look like on the shelf, and then there is the back again. And this one will be $125, signed and slipcase limited edition, 464 pages, 6x9 side trim size, 2025. And illustrated by Dirk Berger again. So let's look at some of the interior illustrations here. And then after this, I've got a Joe Hill for you that we'll take a look at. Ever hear of Joe Hill? But anyway, let's look. I think I was going to say all the illustrations were in the other one, but nope. I found one. I'm sure there are plenty in here too, in this one. Just a matter of finding them, letting the fingers do the walking. Dirk Berger's art is fantastic, and Brian James Freeman has commissioned apparently quite a few illustrations for these Bentley Little books. And Bentley Little's an author. Again, I've only actually read one of his books, and that was The Store. And I did a review on this channel of The Store. Mixed feelings about that book for me. For a great deal of the book, I thought it was fantastic. A fantastic story. And the book itself got very fantastic in terms of not realistic. Things went not real. So it started off feeling real, and then it went not real, which is cool with me too. But there was an incident that occurred in the book that I just felt like this type of incident you don't come back from, and I won't spoil anything. But that gave me a little bit of hard feeling about the story itself. But I still kept it. I kept that limited edition there, and I think it was good enough that I say, I'll probably read some more Bentley Littles, and I've kept these arcs of his that I've gotten from Brian James Freeman. I figure I'll read them at some point, and if I dig them, I'll keep them. If I don't, well, I'll move them on down the road. Probably be better if I sold them all right now. Be the first one to get something up for sale. You can usually get a little bit more money out of it, but I don't want to get rid of something only to figure out later on that I wish I would have kept it. So it's not like we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of dollars for one of these. So I can afford to keep it for a little while, I think. They look great. I love Lividian Publications. The store, I think, was good enough for me to keep the book. The limited edition that I got, and we'll see what these other books have in store. So that is The Town. It looks fantastic. Great job by Dirk Berger. Great job from Lividian Publications. And The Town, Gregory Tomasov has returned with his family to the quaint Arizona community of his youth. In McGuane, the air is clean, the land is unspoiled, nothing much has changed. Except now no one goes out after dark, and no one told Gregory that he shouldn't have moved into the old abandoned farm at the edge of town. Once upon a time, something bad happened there, something that's now buried in its walls, something now reborn in the nightmares of Gregory's young son, something about to be unleashed, and that is The Town. And I've got one more, one more book for you, and that is an author by the name of Joe Hill. Never hear of him? Nosferatu fame. And if you look closely at the license plate here, Nosferatu fame. And this is Wraith. And it's a behemoth, a big book, a great big book, but it's lots of things. This includes a novella, Wraith. It includes 6 scripts for the graphic novel, and it includes a complete graphic novel as well as an art gallery with art from Charles Paul Wilson, illustrator. The signed limited slipcased edition is supposed to be a leatherette binding, like all of the Lividian Joe Hill books. They've got the binding, the covers that look like leather. They're not leatherette. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I believe that it's a synthetic leather substitute. They look like leatherette. And this one should match the other Joe Hill limited edition books that Lividian has published thus far. So the ARC looks more traditional. Now, if I were a person collecting Joe Hill books, I would find this is a must-have. And the reason being, the limited edition won't look anything like this. The limited edition will be the leatherette cover, and it'll have spine gold stamping with maybe a little symbol or something like that on the spine. There's pictures on the website. I'll include it right here. But this looking much, much different would need to be something else that I would want to have on the shelf. And I will as soon as I get it on the shelf. But it just looks so good. The artwork, just fantastic. Charles Paul Wilson illustrations on the cover look so good. And graphic novel, so you can see the cover artwork would be graphic-ish, novel-ish looking. And this just looks so good. Welcome to Christmas Land, where nightmares never end. And let's take a look inside. I got a feeling there will be way too much for me to be able to show you right here. But we will. So the limited edition, I believe, is completely sold out. 1,750 signed, signed limited copies. I can't remember if they're numbered individually or not. I don't want $195, and the website says you can get on the waiting list, so I think that means it's sold out. Sold out. Where the Bentley Littles haven't been put up for sale yet, this one I believe is sold out. And if I'm wrong, then I apologize for spreading false information, fake news. But this one's due out the summer of 2025. The latest update is that it's at the printer. The limited edition is at the printer. So hopefully it'll be on the market soon. So let's take a look inside here and see a little bit of what she has to offer. So the contents, the table of contents. We have the first Christmas Land story. Wraith, script, Welcome to Christmas Land. Wraith, the complete graphic novel. Wraith, artwork gallery. And Wraith, in gross violation of standards of good taste, by Matthias Clausen. There is our frontispiece which is the dust or the cover illustration for this one here. And I'll see what all else I can find to show you. So we got in the first Christmas Land story, there's just a lot of pictures. I'm going to apologize up front. I'm not going to be able to show them all to you, but I will try to catch a few of these illustrations. Not only is the graphic novel portion illustrated, but there are interior illustrations included in the novella for Wraith. So the way I understand it, and I haven't read this graphic novel or this novella, is that Wraith is the prequel to Nosferatu and introduces us to the origin not only of Christmas Land but other characters and such as that. And Nosferatu will probably be being released by Lividian Publications at some point. Seems like he's going through the Joe Hill catalog, and Nosferatu is probably the one that a lot of people, that the majority of fans are looking for, Joe Hill fans and not Joe Hill fans. I'm sure the series, the television series, had a lot to do with creating a lot of buzz for Nosferatu. And so I'm just flipping through here. We're seeing some of the scripts for the graphic novel, and then we'll get to the graphic novel here in a second. And I'll show you some of the illustrations. Naturally, I think it was 6 parts, the graphic novel. And it's included here in its entirety. So just some of the panels that you'll see here, some of the artwork included. We're not going to look at all of them, but getting the origin of Charlie Manx and Christmas Town. Welcome to Christmas Land, Chapter 2, Dark Passage. So I don't want to show it all to you, but there is so much artwork included here, and that's what you get. So we're gonna, the limited edition will be printed in 4 colors. You see in this ARC, everything is in black and white, and the limited being in color. Another one of the differences, besides being a hardcover, bound in leatherette, slipcased, and all that kind of stuff, will be the color of the illustrations. And I'm really looking forward to that. Really glad to have this Lividian ARC bundle in the mailbox and ready to put on the shelf, some of them ready to read, in fact. And with that being said, I can think of no more lies to tell. So thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. If you don't mind, how about subscribing to the channel if you have not already? If you have, thank you. Thank you very much. C'est la vie, baby. Do-do.
Situation, yeah. Unrequested information, possibly, maybe unbelievable, but that can't be denied right there. I'm visually understanding that the situation is exposed right there. You could possibly sprinkle, yeah, a little magic dust on the situation, and then inevitably, yeah, bang, bang. I'm thinking the future. Never worry about the future, because the future comes soon enough. Bang, bang.
From the Macho Man, Randy Savage, one of the great...
Doing the thing right, bang, bang!